Everybody, so this is lecture video number 6. Yeah, number 6. Still on chapter 1, sociological perspective. The last lecture I was talking about symbolic interactionism, which is a micro level theory. In this chapter, I want to talk about the third of the three. Three big theories again are conflict theory, right, which is all about competition, resources, power, symbolic interactionism, which is about symbols, meanings, interpretation. And then the third one is functional theory. And functional theory really argues that this is the one, functional theory argues that society, oh, I should have another shape, is a lot like a human body, right? You have the large social, or hold on, let me just draw you a shape here. It's not a very good one because I'm not an artist. But if you think of society as being made up like a body, right? And in just like us, our body makes up a larger organism. But inside the organism, we have these different organs. Society would be the larger organism. And inside society, we have these larger organizations, right? Like the family, the government, the economy, religion, that make up like the different organs in society. So the same thing, like if you become sick, say if your intestine is blocked, right? That's going to have implications for your whole body, probably. It might cause you to have a headache. It might cause you to have heart palpitations. It'll affect your bowel system, whatever, right? When something goes wrong in one organ of your body, it has implications for the rest of the system. Functional theory argues that society is just like that. That when something goes wrong in one organism, like the family or the government, that affects everything else, right? So, and this is because society is integrated, that you have all of these different working pieces and they all meet a certain need. They all serve a certain purpose, a certain function for the well-being of society. And once something changes, like, once something changes, it has implications for everything else, right? So again, so this theory is what we would call is status quo theory. It really supports don't change it if it ain't broken, right? If there's something wrong, say if there's too much drug use and too many young people are getting involved in sex and drugs, well, maybe that's because too many women went to work and there's not anyone at home after school, right? So it suggests that everything is ultimately related. The big sociological imagination question when we get to the certain issues as we move through the semester is, what purpose does that serve? Like, what purpose does crime serve? What purpose, what function, right? Who I don't want to say who is benefiting, because that gets at that whole sort of like value, good and bad. But maybe there is some functional, maybe this is causing or affecting something else in society. So, for instance, one ways of thinking about poverty, right? What's the function of poverty? Well, there's actually a lot of jobs created in the poverty economy because we have poverty in society. We have a need for social workers. We have a need for emergency shelters. We have a need for drug and alcohol counselors, right? Poverty actually makes a lot of jobs, and it serves as a backup economy, right? Poor people are often willing to take really unpleasant jobs. They're often the last ones hired and the first ones fired, right? So the key words when we talk about from a functional theory are, well, I guess this one doesn't have any very good ones on here, is like what purpose? Like who else, what other organizations in society are affected by this phenomena. Okay. So what I invite you to do, or I want to spend a few minutes here doing, and then I kind of want to role model this next activity, is I want to try to take the phenomena, the pattern of divorce, and I want to apply it to each of these different theories. So, and then in the next step that you're invited to do in a discussion post is to take these social facts, right, these patterns in the data, and attempt to and do yeah and apply those theories to one to apply a theory to one of these social facts. So let me uh, illustrate, and then I may have to sort of explain this in another recording. So you got symbolic interactionism, and you remember that symbolic interactionism is about meaning, and it's about interpretation. You have functional theory, and functional theory is about function and purpose. And then you have conflict theory, which is about power and status. The social fact is, as I mentioned this in a previous lecture, is that more than half of American marriages have ended before they reach their 12th anniversary, right? So the divorce rate, depending on how you interpret it, is pretty high. But the question is, why is that? And you remember, theory is attempts to help us explain this. Why is divorce so common? And the fact that divorce is more common today than it has been historically. Well, using these different theories, we will come up with different explanations for why, which means if we want to change divorce, that means there'll be different solutions. So let's start off by using symbolic interactionism. Symbolic interactionism would suggest that one of the reasons that divorce is more common today has something to do with the attitudes that people have towards marriage. The meaning of marriage has changed. Marriage used to be something you did for the duration of your life, right? It was a lifelong commitment. Divorce used to be considered very taboo. The meanings of divorce have changed, less taboo. The meaning of marriage has changed, less necessary. So divorce is really more common because it doesn't mean what it used to be. It's not stigmatized anymore. And, now we come to understand marriages is about making us happy. And when we're not happy, we'll divorce. So really, marriage and divorce have a different meaning. Functional theory says that the reason that divorce is more common today is partly because marriage is less necessary. Once upon a time, marriage served, it was the way that women had access to resources, because if you didn't, a married woman or a single woman couldn't keep her own wages. The laws were such that women couldn't divorce their own husband. Well, now we have no fault divorce laws. Women can file for a $250 divorce online, right? Divorce is easier than it was before, and marriage is less necessary. So the function of marriage has changed. Actually, everything that you used to get in marriage, you can now pretty much get outside of marriage. You can buy sex, you can live together without being married. It's easier to access divorce. In some states, it's actually easier to get divorced. No, I'm not sure that's true. Okay. Conflict theory. So functional theory says that the reason that divorce is more common is because the functions of family, and the law that if the functions of family have changed, and the law that gains you access to divorce has also changed. Conflict theory says, well, the reason that divorce is higher, and conflict theory would suggest that would point to the phenomena that 2/3 of marriages are actually initiated by women, that that what's happened is the status of women have more power in society than they have had historically, and women are using that power. So women's wages are higher, they have more access to wages, they have more access to economic resources, uh, and therefore they don't need to be attached to a man, and they are choosing to exercise their power in the marriage relationship. Women want more power. and so they're leaving unsatisfactory marriages because they have more power outside of the marriage arrangement, and they want more insight. So each of these theories would explain it differently. Symbolic interactionism would say we need to redefine what marriage means. We need to make it stigmatized. Divorce. We need to stigmatize divorce again. Functional theory would say we need to change the laws. Right. We need to make it harder to get a divorce. We need to make the family responsible for things again, instead of, used to be you were born, you died, everything happened in family. And conflict theory might suggest that, maybe we could renegotiate the power arrangement inside the marriage, or we could make it harder for women to earn a decent living. All three of these offer different explanations and different strategies for the explanations for the phenomena, for the social fact of divorce. Okay, I'm going to stop here and come back briefly and talk about your assignments.